Good morning, students. Today we have to start from page 102, second paragraph. That is from here, Klausner. Klausner was becoming more animated every moment. He was a small, frail man, nervous and twitchy. What do you mean by frail man? Means he was very weak, very thin. Forget about the movie. In the movie, he was a fat man, but as per the story, he was a very frail and thin man. Nervous and twitchy. Nervous and twitchy means he was very anxious, right? With always moving hands. Okay. So why was this? See, this paragraph contains a very clear description of Klausner's obsession. I told you that he was an obsessed man. Another question which can be framed from this, a long answer question which can be framed from this story is about Klausner's obsession. So this paragraph, from this paragraph, you will get points to establish that fact that he was obsessed with the idea of sound. Okay, so he was this behavior, nervous and twitchy. So he was very anxious, always moving hands. This is another sign of his obsession. His large head inclined towards his left shoulder as though his neck was not quite strong enough to support it. So his head was inclined towards his left shoulder like this, right? His head was inclined towards his left shoulder as if his neck is not strong enough to hold his head. So his head was slightly tilted. His face was smooth and pale, almost white, and the pale gray eyes that blinked and peered. Peer means what is the meaning of peered? I told you the meaning of peered yesterday. Peered from behind a pair of steel spectacles, were bewildered, unfocused, and remote. Peer means to look at something very carefully with a lot of attention, right? So peered from behind. So he wore steel spectacles, were bewildered, unfocused, and remote. So his eyes were kind of distracted, right? And remote means that they were at a distance. See what happens with the people who are obsessed with a particular idea. They are completely unaware of their physical surroundings, right? Their body is at one place and their mind is at some other place. So you remember that Dr. Scott had to remind him to take off his hat because he was working with his hat on. Right? So it means that he was completely oblivious of his body and the surroundings. He was so much engrossed, so much involved with that sound machine. So he was a frail, nervous, twitchy little man, a moth of a man. Moth means a moth of a man. What does it mean? See, actually here he's trying to describe the qualities of a moth. That is a very determined kind of a man, dreamy and distracted. And his face, his facial expressions, his eyes, they gave the impression of dreamy. Dreamy means he's living in his own wonderland, right? And distracted from the surroundings, right? Suddenly fluttering and animated. See, animation means lively, right? One who moves his limbs very quickly. So that animation is a sign of his obsession, right? Or unstable mental state, right? These people, they get excited over little things, right? And now the doctor, looking at that strange pale face and those pale gray eyes, felt that somehow there was about this little person a quality of distance from his physical surrounding, of immense, immeasurable distance. So the doctor was looking at him carefully, right, when he was explaining, and the way he was moving his hands and limbs, his movement, his expression, all these things the doctor observed. And with close observation, the doctor came to the conclusion that he is far away from his body. His mind is far away from his body. He's not mentally into this world. He is living in his own imaginative world. as though the mind were far away from where his body was. So his mind was far away from his physical body. So this paragraph will help you to write about Klausner's obsession, right? By taking points from this paragraph, you'll be able to prove that he was an obsessed man, obsessed with the idea of sound. The doctor waited for him to go on. The doctor stood there quietly, looking at him. Klausner sighed and clasped his hands tightly together. So, but Klausner was, because the doctor wanted to know, and the Klausner and this person Klausner has already started explaining to him about his machine and what he was planning to do. So he clasped his hands and tightly together, and then he was so excited to tell him, because he had got an audience, right, to listen to what was going on inside him. See, most of the people will think him mad and will not even listen to his entire story, whatever he has to say. But this doctor, he showed interest in whatever Klausner was wanting to communicate. And so the doctor was waiting there quietly listening to what Klausner was saying. And Klausner was very excited when he was telling him about the sound and what he plans to do with his sound machine. Klausner sighed and clasped his hands tightly together. I believe, he said, speaking more slowly now, that there is a whole world of sound about us, all the time that we cannot hear. So he says that I believe, I have a very strong opinion that we are surrounded by so many sounds. There is an entire world of sound around us, right? But which we are not able to hear, because we can hear only a limited range of frequency, right? So though we are surrounded with innumerable sounds, but we cannot hear. It is possible up there in those high pitched inaudible regions, there is a new exciting music being made. So he says that it is quite possible in those inaudible regions, in those regions where we are not able to reach, where our ears are not able to reach, are not able to hear the sounds of those regions. There is a new exciting music being made. There might be some interesting, some exciting music being made in those regions which are inaudible to us, some subtle harmonies and fierce grinding discord. So some pleasant, unpleasant music or sounds are being created in those higher inaudible regions, which are beyond the reach of human ear. A music so powerful that it would drive us mad if only our ears were tuned to hear the sound of it. So this he was telling with a lot of excitement. The music might be so powerful that we can even go mad on listening to that music. But unfortunately, our ears are incapable of hearing those sounds. There may be anything, for all we know there may. So he says, we can just conjecture. There may be anything. Right? We are completely oblivious of it. We don't have any idea what those different types of sounds might be. Why? Because we have not reached those regions yet. Yes, the doctor said, but it's not very probable. So the doctor was a practical person. See, a practical person, you can be asked to compare the character of Dr. Scott and Klausner also, right? So the doctor was a practical person. Who is a practical person? Who believes only what he sees, right? So the doctor has never heard of such a strange sound. So he said, yes, but it's not very probable. I don't think that there is very high probability of this kind of a thing, that there might be some strange sounds or strange music being played in some unknown regions, which we cannot hear. So this kind of irritates and annoys Klausner. Why not? Why not? Klausner pointed to a fly sitting on a small roll of copper wire on the workbench. So he said, why not? Why is it not possible? Klausner then pointed to a fly which was sitting on a small roll of copper wire on the workbench. It was sitting on there was a roll of rolled copper wire kept on the workbench, and the fly was sitting on it. So Klausner pointed to, you see that fly? What sort of noise is that fly making now? So can you look at that fly? Do you know what type of noise this fly is making? None, that one you can hear. So he says that fly may be making some noise which we cannot hear. How can you be so sure that the fly is not speaking anything or singing anything. But for all we know, the creature may be whistling like mad. We don't know this creature. Fly may be whistling like mad, but we are not able to hear it on a very high note, or barking or croaking or singing a song. So it is quite possible that the fly might be making any type of sound. But the problem is we are not able to hear it. It has got a mouth, hasn't it? It has got a throat. If the fly has a mouth, if the fly has a throat, obviously it can produce some sound. It's only just that we are not able to hear it. Right? Is it clear? The doctor looked at the fly and he smiled. He was still standing by the door with his hand on the door. So you remember the doctor was first he felt that he is kind of disturbing Klausner, so he decided to leave. But again, he was so inquisitive about this whole sound box and that coffin-like structure which was kept there in his room, that he wanted to know about it. So he tried to go out of the room, but then he was not able to move out. He was unable to move out because of his curiosity. So he stopped at the door itself, and then he questioned Klausner again. So he was still standing there at the door with his hand on the doorknob. Well, he said, so you are going to check upon that. So the doctor said, oh, so now you are going to check what type of sound this fly which is sitting on the roll of copper wire is making. This is what you are going to check on. Some time ago, Klausner said, I made a simple instrument that proved to me the existence of many odd inaudible sounds. So earlier also Klausner has made a device, an instrument, which made him believe that there are several sounds which exist in this universe which are beyond human ears, right? Means human ear cannot hear those sounds, but still there are sounds which are inaudible to us. Often I have sat and watched the needle of my instrument. So the instrument which he made, right, earlier, he's talking about that. Often I have sat and watched the needle of my instrument, recording the presence of sound vibrations in the air, when I myself could hear nothing. When I was not able to hear anything, still I watched the needle of my instrument moving and giving me a signal of the presence of some sound, right? But I was not able to hear. So this made him believe that there are certain sounds which are inaudible to the human ear. And those are the sounds I want to listen. I want to know where they come from and who or what is making them. So he said that those are the sounds, those strange sounds which are inaudible to the human ear. I want to listen to those sounds. And that machine on the table there, the doctor said, is that going to allow you to hear these noises? So he said, and this machine, this coffin-like structure which you have made, a child's coffin-like structure kept on the table, you think this is going to allow you to listen to those strange inaudible sounds? It may, who knows? So far I have had no luck. So Klausner said that it's quite possible. Who knows that this machine might work and may allow me to listen to those inaudible sounds. So far I have had no luck, but I have made some changes in it. And tonight I'm ready for another try. So tonight I'm going to test this machine once again. Earlier I tried to test it, but again there was some problem. So I had to make some changes, some modifications in this machine, and now it's ready again. It's done. My job is done. And tonight I'm going to test it again. This machine, he said, touching it with his hand. So see, this is the love of Klausner for his machine, because he has put in a lot of effort in making that machine. So touching it with his hand. So he touched that machine with his hands, the sound machine which he had made. He touched it with his hand and he said, yes, this machine is designed to pick up sound vibrations that are too high pitched for reception by the human ear. So which are beyond the reach of human ears. They are so high pitched that they cannot be heard by the human ear, but this machine can detect those sound vibrations and will enable me to hear them. Pick up sound vibrations that are too high pitched for the reception by human ears and to convert them into the scale of audible tone. So how the machine was supposed to function, it will listen to the sounds of higher frequencies and then convert those frequencies into the range which is audible to the human ear. I tune it in almost like a radio. So there were knobs fixed in that machine and he will be able to tune it like a radio. Right? Those who have seen the radio, normally the older ones, there were knobs in it where you were supposed to move those knobs and adjust the frequency if you wanted to listen to some music. Right? There were different channels at different frequencies and the knobs can be moved to adjust the correct frequency. So how do you mean? So again, the doctor was not able to understand his idea, and so he said, and how do you means how do you think you are going to do it? It isn't complicated. Say I wish to listen to the squeak of a bat. So Klausner started explaining and he said, no, it's not very complicated. Suppose you want to listen to the sound of a bat, the squeaking sound of a bat. That's fairly high pitched sound. So it's a very high pitched sound, about 30,000 vibrations a second. See, 30,000 vibrations a second is something which human ear cannot hear, right? So 30,000 vibrations a second, and the average human ear can't quite hear it. Now, if there were a bat flying around this room, I tuned into 30,000 vibrations on the machine. So whenever I'll see a bat, suppose I see a bat in this room, then I will tune my machine to 30,000 vibrations. So then my machine will be able to capture that frequency. I would hear the squeaking of that bat very clearly. And so this machine will capture that frequency and I will be able to hear it. And then the machine will convert that frequency into the audible range, the range which is audible to the human ear, so that I am able to hear it. I would even hear the correct note, F sharp, B flat, and whatever it might be. These are the different notes. Right? Those who have studied music, they might be knowing it. So even the correct note could be heard by making use of my machine, but merely at a much lower pitch. Don't you understand? So after his explanation, he said, now is it clear? Do you understand or don't you? The doctor looked at the long coffin box, and we are going to try it tonight. And then he said, and you are going to do this experiment with sound tonight. Klausner said, yes. See, the doctor was kind of skeptical, right? He was very doubtful about what Klausner was talking about and whether he'll be successful or not. Well, I wish you luck. So the doctor said, fine. So he was kind of skeptical. He still didn't trust what Klausner was talking about. But still he wished him luck. He glanced at his watch. My goodness, he said, I must fly. I must fly means I should hurry up. I have to go quickly. I must rush. Goodbye and thank you for telling me. I must call again sometime and find out what happened. The doctor went out and closed the door. So the doctor left. Right? He said, I have to rush somewhere. I have to go. I'm already getting late. And I'll call you again. And then you can tell me what happened, means whether your experiment with sound was successful or not, because he was going to test his machine that very night. For a while longer, Klausner fussed about with the wires in the black box. Fussed about means he was kind of concerned with the wires and he tried and tested, pulled and whatever he was doing earlier, right? So he dealt with the wires which were inside the black box. Then he straightened up. Then he stood up straight because he was bending over the box when he was working with wires inside the box. So he was bending over it. So he straightened himself up and in a soft, excited whisper, he said, now we'll try again. See, he's talking to himself. Another sign of his obsession, right? So there is no one in the room, but still he is talking. Now we'll try again. We'll take it out into the garden this time. And then perhaps the reception will be better. So the reception of the sound will be better once we are in the open space, because there will be more sounds in the open space, right? So He plans to take his machine to the garden so that there is better reception of sound. Lift it up now carefully. So see, he's saying these things to himself. Lift it up now carefully. Oh my God, it's heavy. He carried the box to the door, found that he couldn't open the door without putting it down. He carried it back, put it on the bench, opened the door, and then carried it with some difficulty into the garden. So he tried to take the box out, but then with the box, while he was holding the box, he was unable to open the door. So he again came back, placed the box on the bench, and then opened the door and then took the box to the garden. He placed the box carefully on a small wooden table that stood on the lawn. He returned to the shed and fetched a pair of earphones because he'll be able to hear the sound only through the earphones. So he again came back to that shed and took the pair of earphones. He plugged the wire connections from the earphones into the machine and put the earphones over his ears. The movements of his hand were quick and precise. So everything he was doing with dexterity, he was with great skill. So there was a great amount of accuracy and precision in the way he was working with the machine. He was excited and breathed loudly and quickly through his mouth. So he was very excited about his experiment, the experiment which he was going to conduct. He was very much excited about it. So that is why his breathing also increased. He was breathing loudly and quickly through his mouth. He kept on talking to himself with little words of comfort and encouragement. So he kept on motivating himself, encouraging himself as though he was afraid. See, there must be some excitement along with some amount of anxiety, tension, all these things will be there. Why? Because he was testing his machine after repairing it, right? After making some modifications and some changes in it. So again, there must be some amount of excitement, some amount of fear, some amount of anxiety. What will happen, whether it will be successful, whether he'll be able to hear any kind of sound or not. So there were several mixed feelings inside him, as though he was afraid that the machine might not work and afraid about what might happen if it did. So these thoughts were like coming continuously in his mind. What if the machine doesn't work? And what if the machine works? If the machine works, then he'll get to hear some strange sound, which he has never heard in his life till now, right? And what if the machine doesn't work? If the machine doesn't work, then all his efforts will go waste. So there was this fear, anxiety inside him. I think we should stop here and we'll continue further on the next time.